Hello, welcome to NouTalks podcast, and welcome to the first ever solo episode coming to you from my couch. I'm so excited, but a little bit anxious, so bear with me. I've never done a solo episode before, but I thought this season is definitely the perfect moment for me to introduce solo episode. And I brainstormed so much the first topic to start with the season, and I was unsuccessful until one day I was having a phone call with one of my best friends that lives in Amsterdam. And so I live in Paris for those who don't know. And I've been talking to her on the phone for a couple of months, trying to figure out a time to meet. Our phone calls were always like, so when are you coming to Paris? When are you coming to Amsterdam? When do you have time? Can we plan a holiday together? Back and forth for months. And so the other day, I was frustrated at her because she could not make the time for me. And I was so pissed. I just felt like I was getting to a blame game. And then we started talking about it, and it just inspired me this very important topic and challenge that I personally have been going through for so long, which is sustaining my friendships in my 20s. I've struggled so much with this, and I still am because of so many reasons. And I know a lot of you have been going through the same thing. That's not just for people who live abroad or far from their friends back home. It's also relevant to people that live either in different cities or, when you change jobs and change your lifestyle. That's why I feel like our 20s are a moment in life where there's so much change happening, since a lot of us, go from being student to an adult really quickly in a decade. So much can happen. A lot of people get married, a lot of people, they get kids, or you can literally just have a different lifestyle. You move out of your parents' house, or other people are still with their parents. Some people have demanding jobs, others are still looking for a job. So we all kind of are in this weird phase of our lives where our lifestyles are clearly not the same. We go from seeing our friends every day at school from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then we see them in other activities, and then we see them in the weekend. We hang out with them 24/7. If we're not seeing them live, then we're texting them on social media. So we go from this very condensed moment of friendship. I know I've studied with my friends and lived with them on the same business school campus. We used to see each other all the time, which made friendships easier. I don't feel like people are terrible at keeping friendships or they're doing it on purpose. Not at all. I just feel like the circumstances of everybody changes in their 20s. And the problem with that is that a lot of us, when we lose touch with friends, we get into this very weird state of mind where we become super frustrated. We start blaming them for not making the time. We start blaming their lifestyle. And there's so much miscommunication that happens. And then we never want to admit that we're the reason why the friendship has collapsed or disappeared. And that's why I wanted to talk about this. And I wanted to talk to you guys about how I personally have tried to keep up with my friends throughout the years and the things I've learned to improve the way I communicate with my friends and stay in touch with them. When I was living back in Morocco, I used to move cities every 4 years. And so I've grew up with this idea of losing friends. It was such a normal thing for me. But as I grew older and, met wonderful people, I really wanted to make an effort to stay in touch with them and not just blame them for not keeping in touch with me. And so I wanted to share with you some of the things to implement if you're struggling with sustaining your friendships. This is not an exhaustive list, but I thought I'd tell you some of the essentials, starting with the most basic advice, which is to call or text whenever you get a chance or think of the person you want to keep in touch with. This is super important. I feel like a lot of us don't do it enough. I personally would pass by, let's say, a coffee shop that it has a funny name and that reminds me of a friend back home that I haven't talked to or texted for 3 months. I would literally just take a picture really quickly and send it to them. Hey, saw this, super funny, thought of you. I hope you're doing well. That's it. You don't need to create an enormous conversation, a lot of chit chat just to say something to someone or tell them that you're thinking of them. This goes a long way. You have no idea how nice it is when you just receive a random text from somebody that is your friend or an acquaintance for no reason at all, without them getting into the details of their lives or your life, and just texting you to say that they thought of you. I personally have received so many messages like this, and I still do, from friends that just send me things super randomly to tell me that this reminded them of me. I received one text once from a friend of mine to tell me, hey, I listened to this morning and it made me think of you. I think you'd love it. This is super important and really, really key, because I know that a lot of us would get super, super lazy to send something that we want to say or we want to text somebody because we are super lazy to start a conversation of an hour and to catch up at that specific moment, because obviously you don't have time, or you're on the go, or it's the morning and you're at work or on holiday and you don't have the time to sit down and have an hour phone call. And that's why I feel like we're all struggling to just text randomly. I personally have found that it's so much better than not texting. All right? Now, if a person literally crosses your mind while you're listening to this, I dare you, you text them, hi, I've thought of you as I'm listening to this podcast that I just discovered. Here's the episode. I think you'd like it. If you do this, please text me a screenshot. I'd love to hear that this has helped some of you. Now, we're talking about 101 friendships. If you have a group of friends, don't hesitate to send this in your group chat. Group chats are the best invention and also the worst. I'm in about 600 group chats, whether between work group chats, family group chats, friends group chats. It's crazy. And I know as a Moroccan, we love WhatsApp. Today, I'm not going to talk about how I hate them, but how I love them. It's one of the best ways to keep in touch with a lot of people at the same time without having to text each one of them separately. Obviously, it's the basic concept. Now, just like I said before, if you want to text a friend randomly to say, hey, I thought of you, here's this, you can do the same thing in a group chat. You can send a selfie, you can send a book you read, you can send a Netflix show that you absolutely adored and you want to recommend, or a Netflix show that you hated and would not recommend. You can send an advice link, a podcast episode. You can text them to say, hey, I'm in town for one day, who's up for coffee? Little things, random update, new haircut, who this, whatever. You don't have to get into the group chat and have heart to heart conversations and say hi to everybody one on one. You can just send random updates. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I get random updates in group chats very often, and I don't necessarily catch up with everything that's said on the group chat. But even though I would find 200 messages, I don't necessarily look at everything that's said on a daily because it's exhausting, or I don't have time, or I don't see it. I would, let's say I'm on a Sunday scrolling through my phone and I see that I haven't been on the group chat, and I'll just get in, read through it, honestly, my advice to you is don't be lazy and say to yourself, oh, it's too late now. They stopped talking about this. I'm not going to react. No, do react. It's okay if you answer after 6 days. The other day was Eid, right? Because it was the end of Ramadan and there was a lot of, people texting, oh, Eid Mubarak. And I haven't seen those because I was busy with family. I was not on my phone. Even though Eid literally ended a week ago, I still texted back, hey, so nice to hear from all of you. Eid Mubarak to you. Hope you're safe. If anyone is in Paris, please text me. It doesn't have to be a long essay about your life. Now, one of my favorite recommendations to implement, sending memes. I love memes. It's my personal favorite. And I know that this falls into the texting category, but in general, on social media, this is something that I adore. And social media is, for me, a great way to stay in touch with my friends. I would send shamelessly memes or videos or reels or TikToks to people I haven't talked to for a year. It's cool. People love to receive memes. People love to receive content because it just says, hey, I thought of you. You're still in my head. Still want to keep, a relationship with you, even digitally, even online. And honestly, just send. Don't overthink it. Don't expect people to answer you right away. And don't think that you have to send a specific message with that. You can just send the content. It speaks for itself. So don't worry about it, all right? Now, with all of these digital things that I talked about, and they do apply to people that you don't necessarily see physically, so you can keep in touch with them. Two things that I want to add. The first one is, regardless of these little things, okay, that are texting, sending memes, creating group chats, etc. Very, very important. You have to somehow, in your time frame, actually make time at least once in a while to plan a call with intention and take the time to talk to your friends. I know that recently I've been struggling to catch up with two of my best friends from school, and we haven't talked for so long. They live back in Casablanca. I live in Paris, and we didn't see each other for a while, and we never make the time until we decided that the best moment to do that is during breakfast. We decided to FaceTime during Sunday morning breakfast. Wherever we were in the world, we were going to make it. We set that in our calendar and we called. That's something that you can do at any given activity of your day. You can plan a call whilst you're doing the dishes. You can plan a call whilst you're doing your hair, cleaning your house, doing your closet. Those could be calls that you're doing even on the go. And the second big recommendation, and kind of something that I've been implementing and that works wonders for me and my friends, is to make plans whenever you can. Actually make an endpoint plan to see each other. For example, if it's a long distance friendship, maybe you can make a specific date where one of you guys is going to be in town. For example, I'll text my friends, I'll be like, oh, I'm coming maybe in September. And then we'll all gonna know that there's an endpoint to this non talking period. If you are in the same city, for example, it's some of the things that I do here in Paris with my friends that are super busy with their work. They have different lifestyles. They live in other areas, which means we don't see each other that much. What we do is we plan activities together. We don't have to just go out and see each other exclusively in a coffee shop or at our house, but we can also make plans that involve activities that one of us has that day. For example, I have a very packed weekend. Usually I would be traveling a lot for my job, and I would want to spend the weekend before traveling at home, running errands, doing groceries, going to a workout class. And I find that a lot of times my friends would be like, "Oh, let's go out. We haven't seen you for a while, traveling so much." And I sincerely wouldn't have a social battery, or I would have a lot of errands to run. What I would do and what I started implementing is I would include some of my friends or one of my friends that I wanted to see that day in one of my activities, or vice versa, or I'd be involved in one of their activities. Let's say I would literally go with one of my friends that I haven't seen in a while. I'd be like, "Oh, let's go to a workout class together because I really want to get a workout this weekend." And so we would do that. We would go together to a workout class and then we'd get lunch. Or we'd go together grocery shopping, or I'll go with my friend because she wants to shop for a certain event. I feel like this really helps fit everything into your schedule without making a ginormous effort to make the time for your friends and make the time for your personal life. You actually can merge things, you know? This, I feel, is one of my most efficient hacks to date. Now, with all of this being said, of course, it's not an exhaustive list whatsoever. It's just some of the little things that I've tried to incorporate in my life and that has been helping me a lot stay in touch with my friends. But all I'm trying to say is be open minded, keep an open mind, and be understanding because everybody's going through the same shit as you. Everyone's busy. Everybody's got a life. Everyone's got a job, or they're looking for a job, or they're struggling with their studies, or whatever. Everyone has their own schedule, and nobody's schedule is better than the other. Nobody's life is more important than the other. So keep an open mind whenever you feel like your friends are not making the time for you. Not at all. So actually sit down and have heart to heart conversation with them about how to keep in touch best, you know? I feel like a lot of these maybe advice that I gave you are probably not going to work for you because your friendship is super different, your relationships are super different. I know for a fact that I've had to go through this process of just talking it out with one of my best friends. I remember once a couple of years ago, I moved to France, and the majority of my best friends were still in Morocco and, did see each other so much more. And I felt like I was kind of excluded at some point because I was back home and they were talking about a topic that I was not included in and I had no idea what it was about. So I was so mad. And I just said to one of my best friends, "Why am I not aware? Why did no one tell me?" And I was a bit frustrated. And she literally stared at me and said, "Well, Nouhaila, we're actually trying to tell you things, but you never answer on WhatsApp, you never answer in the group chat. So we honestly just don't want to tell you things anymore because you don't answer and we just don't see the point." What can I say? I was so shocked. And I was like, "Oh my God, I never noticed," because it's just that I've never been a texting person. I still am not. I don't like texting, and I just thought that all my friends understood that and they're okay with it. But a lot of them, they're not okay with it. So when I had this conversation with her, we discussed this furthermore. I understood that it's so important for her to chat or text or be updated about what's going on with me and my relationships and my work. And it's kind of a love language to her. That's how she keeps in touch with friends, via texting. And, because it's a friendship that's so important to me, I intentionally made the effort to text whenever she'd send me updates so I can be present and interact with her. This is an example to show you that it's so important at the end of the day that if you feel like a friendship is, starting to fade, or you're starting to have misunderstandings with your best friend, to just, be super honest and open and talk to them about what's the best way for you guys to stay in touch, what is their love language, their communication language. we're gonna be struggling with our friendships, I think, forever. We're always going to be evolving. Our life is always going to be changing. I know I said in 20s is probably the highest, but I am 1,000% sure that as we get older, we have more responsibilities, we have more things to do, our lifestyles change completely as we grow, and we'll always be struggling to keep in touch with our loved ones. So, what I want you to take away from this talk is that you shouldn't be hard on yourself and you shouldn't be hard on your friends. There's a lot going on in everybody's lives, especially in our 20s. People are busy, okay? They have jobs, they're trying to adult, they have relationships, they have other things they're doing in their lives. So, if your friends are not available at exactly the time and date that you want to hang out, or they're not picking up your phone at the time that you want to chat, don't be mad at them. Don't make them feel guilty for not being available to you. Because honestly, I think that's what breaks the relationship super quickly, is making people feel guilty for not making the time whenever it suits you. And I know for sure that it's something I struggle with a lot. I'm always feeling guilty because I am not available exactly when my friends are hanging out or when they're traveling, etc., or they're making plans in general. Sometimes we have to put ourselves in our friends' shoes and say, maybe they're busy right now. Maybe they're just not in a state of mind to chat and their social battery is really low. So don't be hard on yourself and don't be hard on them, which means don't feel guilty and don't make people feel guilty, because we're all trying to figure things out. The second thing that I want you to take away from this talk is that it is really the most normal thing to lose friends in your 20s and even 30s and 40s. It's the most natural thing because we're all growing up, we're changing. And, a lot of friendships, I feel like in our early 20s are circumstantial because we're hanging out with a crowd that we met at school or we met at an extracurricular activity or we met because they live in the same neighborhood. So it's really circumstantial. We're pushed together in an environment or we meet them through friends of friends. So it's not necessarily sometimes a crowd that we choose to hang out with and they have the same interests as us. So sometimes, honestly, it's natural that you grow out of friendships because after school, everyone changes cities, they change lifestyles. Just like as I said, we have jobs, people are trying to adult and trying to do stuff that are different. So we're all pushed in different directions, and it's super normal that a lot of us find ourselves out of friend groups, and you shouldn't feel guilty for that. So don't be hard on yourself in sometimes sustaining relationships that are not for you and that you don't feel like it's your crowd anymore. You will eventually find friends that will make time and a lot of effort to stay in your life, regardless of how lousy you are. I know I am. It's really difficult. And that's why I made this whole episode in trying to implement things, but it's a total work in progress. But your friends that love you will accept you for who you are and they'll help you. They'll help you in everything, even in trying to keep up with them. So I hope this is helpful to some of you, and I hope that you find your people. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Continue this conversation with me on social media at NouTalks, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.